Guys, what we're here to talk about is your heating hydronic boilers today. These are Airco Benchmark 3000s. You have two of them. They're 3 million BTUs apiece. So we're using them to feed all your VAVs with reheats and Air Handler 5 on the other level, 6th floor rooftop. What we have is a control panel. You can get to just about anything you want to see in here, including CO when you're doing your flue gas analysis yearly. But you just sequence through your menus. You have a setup menu, which is basically going to give you what language you want, time, date, etc. So if you're in that and you want to go scroll through it, it's just an up and down movement of this up or down arrow. It's also where you're going to set your password to get into different levels of configuration. The basic one that you guys would use would be password 159, which will give you level 1 access to the control system. To do that, if you want to start from scratch, you go to setup, push your up arrow, and then you go to change, and you push 1, push change again, 5, push change again, and then 9. Once you're there, you just push enter. It shows here level 1. What that'll allow you to do is change set points, change time durations, things of that nature. The passcodes above that get you more into the calibration and the how this control panel works. So it's more of an in-depth thing, which is covered in the O&Ms. But everything's been set up during startup already. The only time you'll really need to get up there is for your flue gas analysis, in which case you need to take readings at multiple different levels of fire from 14% to 100%. The other menu would be your configuration. Again, you just scroll up or down. It's going to give you your internal set point. Your set point is adjusted on these boilers locally. You can see them from your controls automation, but you cannot change your set points from the controls automation.
Make sure you're making eye contact. Okay, pause for a second and start right where you left off.
So again, you're here, 180 degree set point is where the design for this building is. It'll tell you the type of boiler, the size, natural gas, and that we're using a constant set point. So basically the controls enable these, but the boilers are set point is local. It'll give you your high limits. This boiler has, I believe it's 3 high limits. There's one in here, and there's 2 mechanical ones. One's digital, but they're both inside this panel. I'll take this off, but it's going to it'll be quite a bit louder, so you can kind of tell. So you have a high limit here, and you also have a digital one here. If you fail, usually the first one you're going to fail on is on your Seymour control board, which is set at 190. This one's about 210, and this is a 210, so they're essentially a fail-safe for each other. So you have 3 lines of protection on over temp. In here, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but you have your gas valve, your electronic gas valve, which is on a stepper motor, which ramps up and down with your blower motor. It's all part of the firing sequence and your turn down rate. You have multiple safeties in here, and you have your big old monster K&N filter for high performance right here. In the back, on the back side, you have your low water cutout, which is a Warwick sensor. So if you're not familiar with those, they sense the water level through the continuity of the water to ground. If it doesn't sense it, it opens, says you have low water failure. The tuning menu is, again, it's a lot of dead bands in there. It's a lot of stuff we don't ever really need to change. It's factory set. But if you need to get in and figure out different stuff or try stuff, the troubleshooting manual is going to help a lot with that. Typically, we never have to go into the tuning. The one we use is the annual one for combustion calibration, which is under a different menu for the level 2 password.
They're lead lag. And our connection to them, we do have a hardwired connection that enables each boiler independently. And we have a hardwired connection that gives us a status, as well as there's a Modbus interface that connects, or that runs to the Johnson control panel, to a protocol converter that converts the Modbus to BACnet MSTP. And that's how you're able to view some of the set points and alarms that are internal to the boilers.
You said it's set to just meet 180 degrees. Does it have the ability to modulate the temperature based on outside air? It does not. We didn't.
I have that span set up so that I can reset that, but the boiler just needs to be set up to accept a set point from the BMS, but that wasn't in the sequence at this point. So I believe later that could be.
Yes, it could be done. We've already set up for an outside air on these, so they can do it independently, or JCI could do it. Sequence called for 180 degree hot water 24/7. So. I'm sorry?
Seems like in the summertime you can get away with like less than that, you know?
Yeah, and I think with the way they're getting away with that is because of the turn down rate of these boilers. I mean, they can run at 14% and then it's going to shut off. So I guess the efficiency is in the ability to do turn down. So, right.
I pretty much see them both running at the same time.
In use, during the summertime, we get times where one boiler will be off for a long period of time, and that's when we get running and water and things like that. No use. I'd rather see them run constantly, low fire.
Yeah, we find that usually when on the warmer days that we've seen them down 14 to 20% and lead lagging as needed. Probably the past few months prior to since we've gotten cold. I think we started these up in September, end of September. Again, in your program, you can also see your run hours. I believe it's under, it might be, what is it?
And as far as lead lagging on each of the boilers, they each have isolation valves so that we can isolate the water going through just one boiler or the other, or both. They're the Bray indicating valves, like you're probably accustomed to seeing the red actuators with the windows on them that should say open or closed. So those are two position valves only, they're not modulating. And we can show you in our control panel. We have relays that can be overridden. They have the little flag on them that you can override the relays there. Or as you're used to seeing on the Bray actuators, if you pull out the gray handle, it goes into manual operation and you can crank it to the position you want. So you have a couple of options for manual control on those devices.
One more thing in this, the Seymour control. I showed you all the menus, but if you're just here on your normal front part here, it's normal operation. If you just want to scroll up, it'll give you your active set points, and it'll give you your outlet temperatures, your inlet temperatures, your cycles, and also your run time. All easy, quick to access. You don't need a password for any of that.
And those also are visible through the interface, so you can see those on Metasys and they can be trended.
You can force this boiler also into manual locally, as long as there's an enable. which Rob was talking about. You can force that enable on the toggles on the IDEC relays in the control panel. But to put it in manual, all you would do is hit your auto manual button. Manual will light up, and then you just cycle up to whatever percentage of fire you want it to go. It will start and it'll run there constantly. It will back down based on your set points. But to high fire it, if you want to go high fire, you can do it right there. To go back, all you do is push the auto button to go back. Couple things for maintenance we want to look at is, according to Airco, every 2 years they want you to inspect and replace your flame rod and igniter. They want a combustion calibration once a year, which I think is law by Sac County anyways, for anything over 1 million BTU, which we're technically 6 million because they're feeding the same loop. Inspect the boiler the burner every 2 years, which the procedure's in the book, but what it comes down to is removing your blower, pulling it out, and there's basically like a catalyst screen inside there. There's a condensate trap in the back. It's a ball float style. So you can look down in it. It's got a clear top. It's got basically what looks like a ping pong ball in there. Every year you want to make sure that that thing's not sticking, because that's going to allow flow out to your condensate drain. Along with your condensate drain, you have condensate neutralizers back there with the limestone in them. Once a year, you want to inspect and test for pH. pH level is going to be based on whatever city requires. As further we go out the city, it's all different. So we'll have to figure out what the actual limit is for that. I would plan on replacing your maintenance. Your air filter, same thing. It's they say inspect it once a year, or replace it once a year, inspect every 6 months. As much as these run, and we get this dust and stuff downtown and all these trees and all the stuff floating, I would highly recommend you get 1 or 2 spare filters, keep them on site. That way when you pull them out, you replace new and you clean the old ones, have them on standby. You can get those through the local rep, or Intech's a factory certified company for these as well. I really don't have a bunch else unless you guys have questions, something that we may not have covered. Yeah, you want to come on over and we'll open this up. And so you guys know, here's the O&M manual for these. You hang it on the side, or we can do it inside, whatever you prefer. Page 89 is the start of your maintenance and how to do your maintenance. So not only does it say you should do this, but it tells you how to do it.